Welcome back to 3-Day Weekend. I have the Pro up here on the lift. We're working on bearings. Blew out a couple of bearings, separate video on that, long story. While I was putting it back together, actually while I had it apart, I noticed that the steering rack had some play in it on the inners, both sides. And it moved up and down, which is not good. So I pulled this boot off and pulled it back. And do you see that puddle? Well, it used to be a puddle, it dried now, but really nasty, muddy water came out of it. So the rack's done. I'm not gonna rebuild it, we're just gonna replace it. New rack is sitting over on the bench. It is a SuperATV RackBoss 2.0. We're gonna throw it in here today. Let's do it. Like I said, we were working on another project with the bearing, so this side's already all torn apart. Don't mind that hub down there that's all torn apart. I have a new one. See? New one. Sitting there, ready. We're fixing that. Separate video on that. So this side is pretty much taken apart, but we still need to take the other side apart. Oh, I wish I had backed onto the lift instead of driven on. I didn't know I was going to be doing this. There's not a lot of space up here. We're going to take this apart. I've done it countless times in videos before, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time. Remove the cotter pin, 30mm nut, holding that on, remove the washer. We're going to come around to the back of here, two 15mm bolts. Hold this on, there's one. Whole brake caliper comes off. We're going to pop off the tie rod, which is an 18mm nut. Hit it with the impact, it should come off. If not, there is a hole for a hex if you have the original ones in there, so you can hold it steady, work it off with a wrench. And then I thread it back on until it starts to grab, hit it with a hammer a few times, that'll pop back off. Then we have to take off the whole knuckle. We got a 15mm through bolt up there and down here, and a mallet will help get that out of the way. And then this lower shock mount will pull that bolt. That'll let us fold that up out of the way, the arms up. We'll wire them up high so they aren't interfering, and then we'll pop the axles out. I'm gonna put some PB Blaster in there right now so that they don't fight me quite as much. And we got her. Also a fun fact, found out I have bad upper ball joints. Yeah, so fun bonus project on that later. We're all cleared out. Definitely soaking those in PB Blaster, letting them sit while you take everything else out makes it a lot easier to pull out. And I soaked that knuckle in PB Blaster as well, because we have to pull it off that shaft. Sometimes they stick, so I got that off of there as well. Now we're going to start taking the front apart. I have the factory Polaris winch, so it might be a little bit less depending on if you have a winch you'll take apart. Yeah, we're gonna take this off. There's 4 screws holding on this front piece of plastic trim. Then we're after this big piece of plastic, 4 screws holding that in. Torx 40 as well. Long screws will go on the top. This is the sensor for the auto stop on the winch. We're gonna plug that. Ooh, might have to get a screwdriver. It's got a lot of mud in it. And I'm going to disconnect the power wires for the winch. Yellow is on top, blue is on the bottom. Doesn't say that anywhere, but that's the way it is, because that winch is gonna come off with this next big piece. And I'm gonna take this grill out of here just so we can get better access to these 2 push pins right down. You can't see them. There they are. That push pin and that push pin right underneath the grill. Ignore this garbage clamp on there. That's coming off. Yeah, pull those off before we start pulling these big bolts out to get the whole winch mount plate and bumper and everything off in one piece. That's heavy. Oh my gosh, that's heavy. Then we're gonna remove those 2 bolts and those 2 bolts. And then we're going to remove these 2 bolts. Then we have to remove the rear of the lower A-arm bolt. And my impact doesn't fit, so I'm very unhappy about it. They are on there tight. Got it. A-arms are gone. Now we're down underneath and we have 4 big bolts we gotta take out. Big dog, look at those. And then the whole thing should come out right on my head. It's gonna be perfect. Maybe I'll throw another bolt up there just to hold it so it doesn't completely fall off. Well, that's heavy. We got her opened right up. We're gonna pull this pin out, but I've replaced it with a bolt. It's a grade 8. I forget what size bolt. It might have a spring pin, in which case I use that pneumatic hammer. And this big punch to get that out of there. And then we're going to drop the differential. Oh, we have to unplug it first. There are the bolts. I'm gonna go up, try to find the plug too. There's the plug. Driver's side. Zooming in, zooming in. Can't see it. It's right behind this arm. Oh, right there, I just unplugged it. There it is. Oh, there. Okay. We got the bolt loosened. There it is. And it won't come out because the A-arm's in the way. The service manual says just push the A-arm up and you can get it out of the way. But it doesn't get it out of the way. So I have to pull the A-arm off, which is 2 more bolts, I guess. It's not a big deal. That bolt there. That bolt back there. Yeah, but just one more thing. I'm gonna leave the sway bar link on there. Hopefully it doesn't move that much. You know, because the brake line is riveted on. I have a rivet gun, but I'd rather not rivet if I don't have to. So, I'm not going to remove the whole thing, just take those bolts off and let it hang, sit, be out of the way. It's out of the way now. There's that bolt. Just pull it right out of the way. But I'm going to leave it in while I take the second bolt out so the differential won't fall. Shoot, I forgot the drain, or the vent. I got her. It's open now. All that so we could get to these 4 bolts. Geez, it would have been swell if they just welded those nuts on. I could have gotten them from the front. And this would be a lot easier of a job. But before we grab those, we gotta take the pinch out of that steering shaft. I've made sure the steering wheel is perfectly straight, so I'm gonna go down and move the rack around from below. And we want it to disengage from there. So that bottom shaft should fall out of this part here as I jiggle it around. Ah, I got it. Whew. Ow. Oh, it's dripping. Oh, Oh gosh, it's dripping. Okay. I told you some nasty looking fluid came out of there. That's not good. Oh, it's coming out of the input shaft too. Yeah, she's spent. But the machine's what, 4.5 years old? And I've been in some pretty deep water. So I guess it's allowed to do that. Here is the new kit. That doesn't come in the box, I printed it. Big old tie rods. And I got the upgraded bars, not the aluminum. They were $100 more. I don't need that. That's crazy. A stop kit, which I'm not putting in. And then all the bolts to hold it in place. And the tie rod posts for that whole thing. But yeah, there's the rack. And we're going to grab onto it and turn it both directions to make sure that it's centered. But I see they put a mark on, but we just want to confirm that that really is centered. It's going to be very important we keep that centered and the steering wheel centered while we're putting this in. Aluminum instructions. The regular instructions. Oh, furnace is back on. That little divot is going to go on the side out by the tie rod, which makes sense. That's the side you're going to be adjusting it with. We're going to thread these on, make sure everything fits before we start putting it in. And I'm going to pull this back all the way as far as I can. Because we found out when we did Donald's, we were very, very close. So we want that back all the way. I'm glad I test fit those. That one went on no problem. And this one I have been fighting with. It's like something is boogered up in the threads a little bit, so I've just been putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off. Over and over and over and over and over again. To the point where it is hot to the touch. But I got it threaded all the way down in. And I got it moving around, so I think we're okay. But geez, that was not supposed to be that difficult. I had to push the boot back to expose that so I had something to grip on because it was just turning the inner tie rod in. So I'm gonna put this boot back together. But yeah, definitely test fit this first. That would have been awful to put the whole thing back together and it turns out you can't adjust it. Whew, bad news. It's mostly in position. Just kind of hanging there. And I got it fed into that coupler. And it did not want to go into that coupler. So, see that slot right there? I had to open that up a little bit. And I just gave it, not that much really, a few hits with the air hammer with that flat blade on there. It opened right out, up and slipped in easy then. So that would have been nice to know earlier when I was trying to take it out because it didn't want to come out either. And then the steering wheel is still perfectly centered. You can't see it from here. And then I turned it all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and it was almost identical, not a whole notch different. So I think we're good. And I snuck in from this side because of course the line is on this side. And took a picture from over here trying to show that I can't see it. I'm trying to show that it's still centered. So steering wheel, straight, centered. That knuckle and the input shaft, straight, centered. Everything should be straight and centered. So now I'm putting the bolts in the holes. And there are 4 of them. 2 are longer than the other 2. And the long ones go on the driver's side. Those are all torqued down. There was no torque specs in the instructions, so I went with pretty stinking tight. Now I'm lining up. Well, I got this lined up. I got the bolt through it. So I'm gonna tighten that up. That one does have a torque spec, but it was loose from the factory, so I'm gonna put it pretty stinking tight on that too. You don't want that loosening up on you. Although it only fits through a slot, so you have to have it at the right depth. So I'm gonna tighten that up. Differential time! Good time to get the pin through. Just forgot. The vent is up here. Ooh. I don't know if that groove was designed for that or what, but that's kind of convenient. Let it hang down a little bit. Well, that was heavy. We got her. I get the last two rear bolts started, so everything's in there before I torque everything down. I'm glad I went back and checked. I put these all in backwards. They go that way. Onto the A-arms. That is upside down. There we go. Almost forgot. I gotta plug the differential back in. I'm gonna have to take a break. Wouldn't you know it? Bad ball joint. So I gotta order a new one. New ball joint installed. Went with Tusk this time. We're gonna give that a try. I don't know, see how it happens. Now I can put the rest of the front end together. I'm not gonna put the winch on yet. I think we'll put the suspension back together, put this thing down on the ground and make sure the alignment's gonna be okay, you know, that kind of a thing. Hate to put it all down there and something terrible is wrong and I have to retake apart that stuff. So we're gonna put the axles back in, we'll reconnect the shocks, we'll put the knuckles back on, attach the tie rods on both sides and see how the alignment looks. I got this far, everything's going back together okay. That ball joint's very, very stiff, but it is new, it'll break in. And then I remembered that hub is wrecked. So I have to put in the new hub, which is over, so where did I put it? I gotta look for it. And I didn't put the tie rods together yet. So I have to look at the instructions to figure this out. Think I have it all lined up. So we need to put this in there. These are big, 18 and 22 millimeter, geez. Got our new hub on there. So now we finish putting this thing together. this side is together. Good news, it is severely towed out, which is good because we don't have to make this smaller, we need to make it longer, and we'll be able to do that without much issue at all. So far, so good. I'm gonna throw that entire other side together, and then we will let it down and line it up. Oh, I need someone to hold the brake so I can get these torqued to 180. Before we do, there's our bag on. We even did a quick brake job on the rear. So we had a couple pads that were not looking very healthy on there. Is it this one? Yeah, that one. Whew. That was getting down. So now we're going to check the alignment, which is great fun. One of them is kind of close and the other is way off. So this one is kind of close. It's hard to visualize it with the camera. We can see the rear wheel right over there. We are pointed out. This one, on the other hand, the rear tire's over there and we are pointed way out. Mind you, that is with the steering wheel straight. Now this is the one I had issues threading that on. I think I threaded the inside on just a little too far. So I'm gonna take this back off, take that tie rod off, and loosen this up just a bit on just that one end. That way we maximize the amount of thread going into the outer tie rod. You know, I don't want to unthread that by a lot. And if I turn it right now, it's kind of seized back in here. So I need to hold it with a wrench anyway. I don't know, the threads weren't perfect on that. Probably could have sent it back and got in a different tie rod arm. But I didn't want to, and this one's perfectly fine. So if we try to turn this tie rod because those threads were messed up, it turns the inner at the same time, and you don't want it to. So I have to hold that and turn it by hand. And then eventually it loosens up so I don't have to hold it. I'm gonna have to go that far, put it back on and see what we have. That shouldn't do what it's doing. It should turn freely. That's a little closer. It pretty much matches this side now. So from here, I think I'm just gonna set it the old-fashioned way. So I'm gonna tighten that nut back down. I'm gonna put all of our cotter pins in. It came with 4 cotter pins. These little guys. We'll stick those here and here. And let it down on the ground and set the alignment. Back on the ground. And we've pushed it back and forth a few times to get it all settled and leveled in. And it is definitely towed out on both sides. Yeah, towed out. So we're gonna take the big level, use it as a bar, try to get it close. I'm gonna go with a 16th, I think I want 16th of an inch towed out in the end. We'll see how it goes. But I have to get one straight first.
There we go. Now
Anyway?
yeah.
So now we think this one is straight.
Yep.
So we need to use a tape measure to try to line the other one up with this one.
Why don't I just do this again?
Because now we worry about the tires being lined up with each other. So you make one straight and then line the other one up to this. Otherwise, if you eyeball that one, you could be way off. Alright, so right on that line. Centered it perfectly.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. 50, we'll call it 58. Right on the line?
Yep.
Okay, we're about 56, so I have to move it an inch.
Right there.
56 and 7/8. Okay, I like it. We're gonna go with that. Okay, now I gotta lock these. Alignment set, and the nuts are locked down, and it should be drivable. I don't think it's gonna throw a light for the winch connection. So now, why would it throw it? It doesn't care about that. So we're going to test drive it. The tires look right. And they're out just a little bit, so it'll return to center. That'll be nice.
Well, that tire looks flat.
What?
That tire looks flat.
It's a little soft. Yeah, so let's clear this out. And what's the temperature out there?
Cold.
In Tundra Land? Is it 12 degrees?
Well, last time I checked it was 16.
Oh, good. It's hot then. 16 degrees Fahrenheit. What a beautiful way to ride. What?
19.
19! Oh my goodness. It's ugly as sin, but it'll work. I just finished checking all the tire pressures. They're all exactly the same, so that won't throw us off. I'm just letting it warm up before we go rip it. And while we're here, I'm going to try to cross off some stuff. Like the front right bearing, fixed. Steering rack, fixed. Ball joint left front upper, fixed. And rear brakes, fixed. It was a good day, woo! I like when you can check off an entire list all in one shot. Bam! We're good to go. Alright, once it's done warming up, we'll hit the road. It's close. It's close, but not quite. I think I'm turned just a little bit. Back from the test drive, it's pretty darn close. I really need to go on a further drive, but I don't have a long, straight, perfectly flat place to do that. I could trailer to a plate. We're not doing that. We'll see how it is. I can always adjust that later. That's easy, but I think we're good. It doesn't pull. It's going straight. So now we can de-uglify the front, and that is, well, we got to put the winch back on.
Yeah.
And what is that held on by? 2 bolts here, and there's got to be more. Oh, a couple through bolts up here. It's like 4 maybe. This is not light.
I can see that.
Got 1 bolt. Send through. Yep. Two under here. You have to lift it. That's not going anywhere. These 2 little clippers. Washer was first. And then this right here. And that on top. I like to grease it up real thick with some dielectric grease. We're back. We got the boots over all the connections. It's filled with dielectric grease. It's better than new. I will say that's a genuine Polaris winch, the 4500 with a quick retract. It's been an awesome winch. We're at 4.5, coming up on 5 years old, this thing. And it has been submerged. And it still works good as new. And last but not least, this. Which flies out every time I go through a really big puddle. That's it. That's the last piece. New steering rack is installed. We'll see how it does. If I have issues with it, you'll see it. Check out the Pro XP playlist. Because if it acts up, I'll be tearing it back apart again. But we did it. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every viewer and every subscriber, especially you members. You guys are amazing, and we really appreciate the support. As long as you're here, leave us a thumbs up. Doesn't cost you anything, but really helps us out a lot. Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I reply to every comment I get. But in the meantime, thanks again for watching, and I hope I'll see you here for another video on 3-Day Weekend.